It has been officially a year of owning my garden, and I've learned a lot. I'm really excited to share what I've learned about this system, about hydroponics in general, whether or not I recommend the garden, and let you know some other supplies that you may not realize that you need when you decide to invest in a hydroponic system like this. I've made quite a few TikToks and shorts documenting my journey on growing with Gardyn. Feel free to check them out. I'll link some below. Does it work? It definitely works. This is the barest that my garden has looked in a long time due to my own mishap. But I've grown cherry tomatoes that keep producing. Only growing a couple plants, I've had more cherry tomatoes than I need. I've grown plenty of varieties of lettuce and of kale and other grains that I had never even heard of before. You can grow nearly any herb in this system, and strawberries have been a favorite of mine to grow in the garden. I've also been able to experiment and grow things that I didn't think that I would be able to. Some more unusual ones are cauliflower grown indoors in my apartment, Swiss chard, edible flowers. You can grow lots of different peppers, and I'm gonna try growing some mini eggplants as well, so we'll see how that turns out. When you're first starting growing in the hydroponic garden, it might seem like it's taking a while. You're just waiting for things to bloom. And then all of a sudden, you end up having more fruit, greens, and vegetables than you probably know what to do with, because it can hold so many plants, and if it's only a couple people, you definitely don't need to fill up all of the pods with seeds. Mine's looking a little bare now because I left on vacation and forgot to fill up the tank and wasn't able to put it on vacation mode because I don't use the membership, and came back to some sad looking plants. I have another video on whether or not you need the membership or not. I personally do not use the membership and have had thriving plants without it. Should you buy it or not? The things I considered when buying the garden are space, number of plants, overall structure, and maintenance. For me, I live in an apartment. I do not want anything else on my counters. I don't have counter space to give up. And every other large garden needed more square footage. This seemed to have one of the most plants per square foot, so I can grow, I forget how many plants, within a 1x2 square foot area, which is great for me. I keep it in my entryway area. And since it has all the lights and water on it, it doesn't need to be near a window. Aesthetically, I also think it's the prettiest of them out there. Other ones are more like shelves, so that's also something to take into consideration. Maintenance, the garden is interesting because there are vertical towers and the plants end up growing like this, like diagonally. So with larger plants, you have to be more aware of keeping them in an upright position and trellising them. Otherwise, you're gonna have things break and end up on your floor. Before I talk about maintenance in more detail, something to also be aware of when you're purchasing a hydroponic garden is the water sound and how often it needs to be on. The garden only needs to cycle through water for 5 minutes, like twice a day. And when it's on, it sounds like a light water feature. It sounds pretty relaxing, and you can definitely set it to different times if you don't want it like during your work day, if it's in an office or something like that. Although noise cancellation has gotten pretty good, so I wouldn't really worry about the sound too much. Maintenance and cleaning. Anything that you bring into your house, especially of this size, is gonna have some sort of maintenance to it. The more you realize that up front, that you will have to clean it, that you will have to take care of the thing, the less it's gonna bother you later when you actually have it and have to do those things. Once per week, you will need to look through the roots, trim any that are falling out of the cups or seeming too long. You might need to look through all your plants and trim them down to about 1 or 2 plants per pod. And you will also need to fill the tank with plant food and water, and then general cleanup, pick up any leaves that have fallen. Once every 6 months, you have to do a deep clean of the columns and the tank. The columns are are a lot more annoying, but there are things that you can do to make it easier on yourself before your deep clean. I'll also have some supplies linked below that will make this easier. I also buy my plant food generic, which is the same brand that Gardyn uses, but it's not branded under them. That is also a way that I save money. Not gonna lie, the cleaning is rough. Cleaning the columns especially, but getting citric acid and getting really good cleaning brushes makes it easier. So I did that the last time. I soaked them in citric acid with water and the brush got it all off pretty quickly. You can also put most of the things directly in the dish. You can put the Wide Pods directly in the dishwasher. That also makes things a lot easier. As long as you trim your roots and don't let anything grow too crazy, your cleaning should be fine. You might need to dedicate like 2 hours every like 4 to 6 months to do a deep cleaning. But if you stay on top of trimming the roots and keeping an eye out in case anything is wrong, like making sure you don't have pests or anything, then you should be fine. I've never had any issues with pests or bugs. Might also be because I don't have pets coming in and out, but never had any issues with those, thankfully. For the seeds and plant foods, I buy my own seeds now. I don't use the membership, and I buy my plant food generic. A lot of seeds will work. Make sure that you're getting seeds that are fit for small root spaces, so things that are good for container gardening would work pretty well in this system. I'll also link a video that I have on how I use my own seeds, and I do this even without buying the seedless Y cubes. When you buy a system like this, it's also good to be aware that there are going to be some additional things that you need to buy in order to keep working on this new hobby of yours. One of them, you're going to need to have a gallon jug of water. This is going to make refilling the tank a lot easier. I used to have a glass one and then that broke, so now I just use a plastic one and add plant food directly to that. It also helps because it's kind of gets heavy when it's at a gallon size, so that's pretty easy for me to pour in and out of. If you're growing tomatoes or cucumbers, which are some of my favorite things to grow, you definitely are gonna need to have a trellis. So you can buy the Gardyn trellises or you can make your own. I made my own poorly from like string and this like garden tape that I had. Highly suggest if you're gonna do some sort of trellis on your own, make sure it's of wire, of like sturdy wire that the plants can actually, like that you can have the weight of like a cucumber on. So get some like slightly thick wire and then you can bend that or use some sort of wire hanger and create your own trellis. Garden covers, especially if you don't have a large family, it doesn't make sense to have seeds in all of the pods at once. So get the covers that can be put on even if you don't have a Y pod in them. I've bought covers also from Etsy that were of a better design, so they were easier to take in and take out. And for maintenance and cleaning brushes and citric acid will also make your cleaning a lot easier. You'll also need to buy seeds, which can be from Gardyn, or you're probably gonna get a much better deal buying them from elsewhere and putting them either into seedless Y cubes in the beginning or making your own, which I will also have a video linked on that. If gardening is something that interests you and you get excited about the thought of being able to grow your own food inside, I would highly recommend getting a hydroponic garden. Even if you don't get the Gardyn, there are gonna be other ones that might better suit your needs. Some of the reasons I chose Gardyn were the aesthetics. It looks beautiful. It's really great if you are limited on space, and it's really easy. You just have to add your plant food. I don't have to worry about pH monitoring or anything like that. If you want to, you can, but things seem to grow very well without needing to do all that. It's a really exciting hobby. Be aware up front that maintenance and cleaning is just part of the process of owning anything this large. It's producing food and nutrition for you, so you have to take care of the system as a whole. If this video is helpful, please like and subscribe. I have another video on whether or not you should get the Gardyn membership and if it's worth it, and other videos on my YouTube shorts and TikTok on how I plant my own seeds within the garden. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.